Now look, it really wasn't a great week for pretty much everyone. The average points for every team in FPL was 35 this week, and I ended up with 33, which did result in a red arrow going down in my rankings. But to be fair, 33 doesn't look all that bad compared to the top 3 in the UKFC League this week. J12 came out on top with 46. Harry Simpson came out in second with 44, and Jack came out in third with 38. So I tell you what, the scores weren't great this week. You had some really big expected performers do really poorly. We had a massively transferred in player go down injured after scoring a goal, which is going to be a big talking point, as well as a lot of goalkeeper drama, including Martin Dubravka, Kelleher for Liverpool, and Alfonso Areola not even being included in the West Ham squad. Let's quickly take a look at the transfers I made. I was actually originally looking to roll my transfer, which in hindsight I really should have done. But with Dubravka being so cheap, I ended up jumping on Dubravka before his price rise. I got rid of Areola, who can't keep a clean sheet to save his life. And I think Newcastle at home is going to be so safe over the longer period of time. I am hoping Newcastle don't go and get a new goalkeeper in January, so Dubravka is a long-term option because it looks like Pope's probably out for the season. But Robert Sanchez also has a great fixture coming up with Chelsea. Now, Sanchez didn't even keep a clean sheet, but he was stuck on my bench with 11 points. But I'm not expecting Chelsea to keep a lot of clean sheets, even with their good fixtures. Now, the thing that sucks here, and why I should have rolled my transfer, is that if I did have Areola still, I would have started Areola over Sanchez. If Areola wouldn't have played, which would have meant I would have gotten Robert Sanchez's 11 points off the bench. But because I went to Dubravka, I got his 2 points instead. That is FPL for you. Yeah, let's start off with the goalkeeper, Martin Dubravka. I wasn't really expecting a clean sheet, to be honest, but he ended up being lucky to get 2 points. Newcastle got thumped at Goodison Park 3-0 by Everton. Everton's such a tough place to go, and it's very rare a team comes out of there with a clean sheet anyway. But I just hate fielding defenders and goalkeepers against my own team. Now, I did field Kostas Tsimikas, but I'm not surprised he didn't start against Sheffield United, which was very annoying. I ended up getting Dalot's 1 point against Chelsea. Dalot's attacking threat looks really good, and I probably will field him next week against Bournemouth at home, and let alone Bournemouth do look good, but I'd still expect Dalot to keep a clean sheet. The weird thing about Dalot is he started every game since game week 2. He's had some brilliant attacking threat, but there's always just that one thing in the back of my mind that feels like Aaron Wan-Bissaka could come out of nowhere and take that spot. The one saving grace is that we played absolutely brilliant against Chelsea, and Dalot was a mainstay of starting the attack from the back four. He did a job that I don't think Wan-Bissaka could do going forward, which makes me think we'll go unchanged against Bournemouth on the weekend, which means Dalot should start. Even when Wan-Bissaka does start, Ten Hag doesn't opt to go for Reguilon. He opts to go with Dalot at left back, so he starts most, if not all, Premier League games. And I do think he'll start this weekend against Bournemouth. It's just a bit unfortunate that Tsimikas didn't get the start against Sheffield United, but Joe Gomez was horrific against Sheffield United, which, you know, Tsimikas should start against Crystal Palace this weekend, and for all of Liverpool's fixtures in the future. Joe Gomez pretty much saved all Tsimikas owners from any worries. Ethan Pinnock, I did feel against Brighton away. Again, I wasn't really expecting a clean sheet. Ethan Pinnock does have a decent goal threat though, so that was really my only saving grace to starting him, and he did finish on 1 point. And then Saliba against Luton away conceded, 3 goals. Arsenal defenders are horrendous at the moment, and my story with defenders this season in FPL have been an absolute joke. A few weeks back, I had Pedro Porro for about 4 or 5 game weeks. He blanked in every single one of those. I ended up transferring Pedro Porro out for Ben White. The week I did that, Ben White was benched and Pedro Porro got an assist. I had Ben White for 2 weeks. I transferred him out, and the week I go Ben White to Saliba, Ben White gets an assist and Saliba blanks. FPL is an absolute joke. An absolute joke. It is just tough to figure out who will be starting with this abundance of midweek fixtures in the Premier League during December, which means guys like Kostas Tsimikas and Matty Cash are at a massive risk of being benched. As we move into the midfield, a guy that is at massive risk of being benched and hasn't started in 2 games for some reason, Moussa Diaby. He got me 1 point off the bench, but I will be holding on to Diaby because I've got bigger issues to fix up, but not having that locked on spot is really worrying me, considering Villa have some really good fixtures coming up, and they just destroyed Man City. Bryan Mbeumo got 6 points. He's the massive talking point. He did get a penalty goal, but he came off injured after 20 minutes. I've already made my transfer to replace Mbeumo. I brought in Phil Foden, tripling up on my Manchester City assets with their great fixtures coming up. City have Luton away in game week 16, then they have Palace at home, then they blank in game week 18, which I'll be using my free hit in anyway. Then game week 19, Everton away, game week 20, Sheffield United at home, and game week 22, they have Burnley at home. So it's a really, really good run of fixtures for triple Manchester City assets. I probably will be getting rid of Julian Alvarez soon, in, the mid-January period anyway, due to the probable return of Kevin De Bruyne. Alvarez and Foden will both probably exit my team around that period just because of their spots being at a much larger jeopardy with De Bruyne in the team. But I'm very happy tripling up on Alvarez, Haaland and Foden, not just for this Luton fixture coming up, but for the good run of City fixtures coming up in general. Anthony Gordon, 2 points. Away at Everton, look, Gordon's in brilliant form at the moment. He's great value. I jumped on him when he was really cheap, and I've got absolutely no issue with Anthony Gordon at the moment. Everton away is a really tough place to go at the moment. Mo Salah, my captain against Sheffield United away. Chris Wilder came in. He played a brilliant style of football, and Mo Salah just looked nowhere near it for the rest of the game. Sheffield United were really well organised, which we sort of expected with the new manager bounce, or the returning manager bounce. But yeah, a bit annoying for all captains this week. Son blanked, Salah blanked, Haaland blanked. It wasn't good. DRB 1 point off my bench, as I've already said. Villa have some actual decent fixtures coming up, so I really hope he can get on the park for fixtures like Burnley and Sheffield United at home. Same with Matty Cash, who's on my bench. If he can start just both of those games, I will hold on to him for a little bit longer, despite the hell he's put most of us FPL managers through. And Hwang Hee-chan, when Pedro Neto went out injured, I went from Pedro Neto to Hwang Hee-chan, and I was a bit iffy because Hwang Hee-chan's success was purely based off the service Pedro Neto was providing him. But he's doing it all himself now. Yes, it was a penalty, but he kept a clean sheet. It was a brilliant performance, and for his value, Hwang Hee-chan looks so good at the moment. And those cheaper midfielders like Gordon and Hee-chan are allowing me to go with the front three and the rotation of Haaland, Watkins and Alvarez, be able to bench one of them each week or start all three. Haaland, Watkins and Alvarez all didn't give me a return this week, but in the long term, they're so brilliant. A lot of managers with that Watkins injury cloud last week did go to Darwin Núñez, and they're already looking to get Watkins back in the team. He just looks so dangerous out of the park in a title-challenging Aston Villa team. Yeah, let's go to my bench. Robert Sanchez, 11 points. If I didn't transfer out Areola, I would have gotten my Sanchez 11 points. But of course, I go to Dubravka, who gets me 2 points. In the long term, I'll be fine, but it is really frustrating this week that I've got 11 points wasted on my bench. Alvarez, 2 points, and then Tsimikas and Cash both didn't play. Dalot got auto-subbed onto my field. I did originally field Tsimikas, obviously, against Sheffield United, but he will play this weekend. My team selection for Game Week 16, I've either got Sanchez against Everton away or Dubravka against Spurs away. They're two really not very good fixtures, but I think Chelsea will concede against Everton away. But if I'm betting on who will score more, I'm going to say Spurs will probably score more than Everton will. So I will be fielding Sanchez over Dubravka. My back three, Tsimikas will 100% start against Crystal Palace away, in which is a really good chance of getting a clean sheet for Liverpool. Ethan Pinnock against Sheffield United away, surely that's a clean sheet for him. And Diogo Dalot against Bournemouth at home. I am expecting a clean sheet, but it's not given. Salah against Palace away, that simply has to be a return, as does Hwang Hee-chan against Forest at home. Steve Cooper is massively under pressure. If he doesn't get a result in this game, he probably will be sacked. And I think Hwang Hee-chan will really go to town against a horrendous Nottingham Forest side at home. Phil Foden against Luton away. I brought him in for Brian Mbeumo. You could go for other guys like Anthony Gordon or Hwang Hee-chan, two other cheaper midfielders that I already have. I'll be getting Saka in about Game Week 20 for Mo Salah when he has to go off to AFCON. That's the only other thing about guys like Hwang Hee-chan. He does need to go to the Asian Cup in January. Salah needs to go to AFCON. So Brian Mbeumo being injured is a bit of a blessing in disguise in terms of having to get rid of a player that was already going to AFCON a bit earlier. So now I've only got two players I need to worry about. I'm not too concerned about getting Phil Foden in either. He is a Manchester City asset that will blank in Game Week 18, but I'm using my free hit that week anyway. I've got Pinnock, Foden, Alvarez and Haaland who all blank that week, so I do need to use it no matter what. And I've been planning that for a while that I will be using my free hit in Game Week 18. Anthony Gordon against a leaky Spurs defence away. I've got full faith Gordon can return in that game. Watkins against Arsenal at home. I feel like Ollie can return in that game. And plus my bench options are Diaby, Saliba or Cash, who are all playing in that game anyway, and I'm not relying on any of them to get a return. And then Alvarez and Haaland both against Luton. Luton are a hard team to break down, as we saw against Arsenal, but when you look at it, when you take a step back, Arsenal did score 4 past them, so I'm hoping Foden, Alvarez and Haaland can all go big. My only real nerve-wracking bit is the Pep Roulette after a horrendous display against Villa. They do have Rodri back, so I've got faith he will stick with Foden and Alvarez and just drop Rico Lewis, but yeah, I hope the Pep Roulette doesn't come to bite me. I think I'm pretty happy with my team for Game Week 16. I'm hoping for 3 clean sheets in defence. Goalkeeper won't keep a clean sheet. My midfield 4, I'm actually hoping can all return. Ollie Watkins is a bit of a risky one up top, but I feel like most of my players should return and I should be in for a good game week 16, but in FPL, who the hell knows? If I'm ranking my preferences in who to replace Mbeumo with, I'm a massive fan of Phil Foden. I think he's more often than not locked in that Pep Guardiola Man City side, and City have some great fixtures coming up, especially if you're considering using your wildcard or free hitting in game week 18. Hwang Hee-chan, like, I just love him. Like, no matter what the fixture is, he can always pinch a goal or two. He's so reliable when it comes to returning, and he's great value. Anthony Gordon's a given. Newcastle fixtures are decent coming up. Fulham at home and Luton away, Forest at home. He'll return in all of those. I'd really back Anthony Gordon for the long term, especially when Harvey Barnes is out. People are talking about Raheem Sterling. The only thing about Raheem Sterling is that he is so expensive for a player that plays in a Chelsea team that could just turn absolutely stupid any week. Like, Chelsea can play really poorly any given week, and it's so unpredictable when that happens. So while Raheem Sterling is locked on, I still wouldn't back him 100%. And Cole Palmer, with Christopher Nkunku around the corner, I'm not the biggest fan of going for Cole Palmer, even with the form and value he has. There is my team selection. There's my game week 15 recap. Terrible week, but for most of us it was a terrible week, so it's not just me. I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching, and cheers.